Hello, I'm Angeline and welcome to Beat the Street, the show that gives you all the tradable news and data you need ahead of the Wall Street Open. Coming up, Powell power. Market caution ahead of Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech a little later on in the session. Will he toe the line and give a benign forecast, or is he going to give markets a bit of a surprise? And also watching Tesla after the EV maker priced its Cybertruck significantly above its initial forecast in terms of prices. And Alibaba, also in focus, Morgan Stanley, has downgraded the e-commerce giant. We'll tell you why in just a second. First, I'll get you across the markets. It's a really muted, somber, wait-and-see stance out there. However, it has to be said that markets, if I show you the Wall Street here, which mirrors the S&P, the Dow Industrials, it has had a climb since the end of October. Many of these indices showing quite stellar returns in the month of November, ever since those expectations of a US rate cut started emerging. Some Fed Watch tools indicating as soon as March, also showing you the Tech 100. There we go. This is the US Tech 100, which mirrors the NASDAQ. A similar trajectory there. Look at those gains in November. Real rebound, really. The NASDAQ finishing November with its biggest monthly gain since July 2022. And I can tell you that another index that had the same trajectory is the S&P 500, which is called the US 500 on the IG platform. Of course, all this could change in a heartbeat depending on what Jay Powell says. Ahead of that, IG's Axel Rudolph has been taking a closer look at the technicals for the S&P 500 for us.
Yes, Angeline, I mean, what a rally we've seen in the S&P 500. It was the strongest November month since 1980. And also the strongest month this year. And basically, it took us back up again very close to the July high around the 4,600 mark, as we can see here. And yes, we are losing upside momentum, which is pretty normal after having seen such a strong gain over the month of November. But the trend is your friend, and that's still pointing higher. And we have a few Fed speakers out later today, which may give us some more color with regards to the future monetary policy and potential rate cuts next year. But from a technical perspective, there's really not that much to say. I mean, basically, provided we stay above the last reaction low, that's to say the low yesterday, which was made below the one seen on Wednesday, and below today's intraday low, at least at 4,537. Provided we stay above there, the trend's your friend, that's still pointing higher. Now, if we were to take out this week's high around 4,587, then, as I said, the next upside target would be the July peak at 4,607, around which we may short-term stall, because after all, it's an important high. It was a high going back several years.
Thanks very much, Axel. Axel, they're experiencing a few technical difficulties, but moving swiftly on, one other chart, which is very interesting on a daily basis, is Tesla. I just want to show this to you. This is the hourly chart for Tesla, and we are monitoring it closely because it came out earlier today saying that it was going to price the Cybertruck. This is the much awaited Cybertruck, much higher than its initial forecast. Tesla saying that the Cybertruck is going to be about 50% higher than initially estimated. And also, the three variants of the Cybertruck will start at around 61,000 US dollars, going up to around 99,990 bucks. We'll call it 100,000 just to simplify that for you. Now, Tesla's shares, as you can see here, is interesting because it is forming a bit of what we call a wedge here in terms of technical analysis. And as Axel said earlier, the trend is your friend, and we are seeing this wedge narrow. And the indications are that volumes hold and it continues in this sort of trend line, then we could see those shares move slightly lower. Indeed, the Cybertruck news is not going to be welcome for hardcore Tesla fans. Tesla has been having lots of difficulties trying to get the Cybertruck into the market. There were lots of delays, and it did not have a concrete date for the release and delivery for a really long time. Wedbush saying that Cybertruck does not significantly move the financial needle for Tesla in the coming year. And RBC also saying that they view Cybertruck as more of a halo product, something that attracts consumers to the brand rather than being a cash cow itself. But like everything Tesla related, Tesla is quite good at surprising the market. And what I can tell you that year to date is that Tesla shares are still up around 95% as of the last close. Now, another stock that we are watching for you is Alibaba. This is the retail giant. Just pulling up the shares here for you, which are all sessions on the IG platform. Alibaba's shares are currently down around 1.2% after Morgan Stanley downgraded the stock to equal weight from overweight. Now, what's happening here is that Morgan Stanley is citing a slower turnaround in customer management revenue and also uncertainty from the cloud spin-off withdrawal and lack of capital management catalyst without cloud distribution. What's also interesting is that Morgan Stanley has named Temu. For those of you that are not familiar with Temu, it's another online retailer very much used in Asia, and it's owned by Pinduoduo. Well, Morgan Stanley has picked Temu as one of its top picks in Chinese e-commerce and raised the price target for Pinduoduo to $181 from $170. Now, you can trade Pinduoduo when the cash open starts. In terms of Alibaba, well, Alibaba's shares are down around 15% year to date. However, perhaps a little bit more now, given in all sessions, it's down 1.2%. And another stock that could be on the move is Chipotle. For those of you in the US that have had Chipotle, this is, of course, the Mexican grill chain, which is also sprouting up around major cities like London as well. Chipotle will start going when the cash session starts. It's just had RBC Capital Markets raising its price target by $240 to 2425. This represents a more than 10% upside to the stock's last close. Now, RBC Capital Markets are saying that Chipotle remains a favorite name among the company-owned restaurant models, and they see ongoing long-term opportunities for the restaurant group to increase margins and returns. And finally, just checking in on crude prices for you. They are stabilizing after that 2% drop seen in the previous session. Checking out US crude for you. And as you can see here, the downward trend channel remains in play And this is despite the fact that OPEC Plus agreed to a 2.2 million barrels per day of cuts for the first quarter. Perhaps markets were disappointed, looking out for more. But also, Goldman Sachs said the market has started to price in a large probability of more cuts, including a potential longer-lasting and official non-voluntary cut. This is according to Goldman Sachs, which also said that they were keeping their 2024 price outlook due to an expected slowdown in US oil supply growth and low OPEC supply. And just a reminder, a lot could change depending on what Powell says a little later on in the session. But let's just have Wall Street up again to give you a last look at where we are before the cash open starts. And as I mentioned earlier, a wait and see stance mood there in play ahead of JP's comments. That's it for this edition of Beat the Street, the show that follows the trading action, helping you position yourself ahead of the opening bell. For more trading insight, do follow me on @Angeline Ong on Twitter. Until then, this is IGTV.